Integration is the reverse process of differentiation. So let's take, for example, the function x to the n. When we differentiate, we multiply by the power. The power is n. So if we have x to the n, that n is the power. So multiply by the power, it becomes nx. So multiply by the power and then subtract 1 from the power. So we have x to the power n. You multiply by the power, the n comes in front, and you subtract 1 from the power. So you get nx to the n minus 1. So that is what we call differentiating x to the power n. Two things. Number one, multiply by the power. Number two, subtract 1 from the power. Integrating, which is the reverse. So we're going this way. We're going to the right, left to right. Now we're going right to left. So we want to integrate x to the n. We subtract 1 from the power there. Now we add 1 to the power. The opposite of subtract is add. Add 1 to the power. So we have x to the n, we add 1. We multiply by the power. Here we divide by the new power. So we have x, add 1 to the power, n plus 1, divided by that new power, n plus 1. So you got that x to the power n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. And that is integrating x to the power n. When you differentiate a function that looks like y equals to x squared plus 5, where there's this constant term, y equals to x squared, where the constant term is 0, and y equals to x squared minus 19, where the constant term is minus 19. When you differentiate them, you differentiate x squared, you get 2x. So dy over dx of x squared, you get 2x. When you differentiate plus 5, you get 0. So you just get 2x. When you differentiate x squared, you get 2x. When you differentiate x squared, you get 2x. When you differentiate minus 19, you get 0. So if you notice, when you differentiate 1, 2, 3, you get the same answer. Now, if you were to integrate to go back, which one will you go back to? You can go back to that one, you can go back to that one, you can go back to that one. So we need to find out what this plus 5, the 0 there, and the minus 19 is. So when you integrate 2x, it will be 2x, add 1 to the power, divide by the new power. So the 2 will cancel, and you end up with x. 1 plus 1 is x squared. And then you add this constant. This constant of integration could be that 5. It could be the 0 here, or it could be the minus 19. They'll always give you numbers that helps you to find exactly what the constant is. These two formulae, 1 and 2, they mean the same thing. If dy over dx is equals to x to the power n, to get y, you integrate. Add 1 to the power, divide by the new power. So you add 1 to the power and divide by the new power. And you add the constant of integration c. And this formula, as it will not work when n equals to minus 1. And you will learn more about that later on. Or you can write it as dy over dx is the same as f dash of x. So sometimes you write dy over dx or f dash of x. They call it dash, f dash of x. They mean the same thing, and the x to the n is the same. So to get f of x, which is mean the same like y here, so the f of x is the same like y, is 1 over n plus 1 x to the n plus 1. Find y for the following. You are given dy over dx. That means we integrate. And when you integrate, you add 1 to the power. 4 plus 1 is 5. And you divide by the new power, 5. And don't forget to add the constant of integration. So it's x to the 5 over 5 plus c. And for b, dy over dx is equal to x to the minus 5. To integrate, add 1 to the power. Minus 5 plus 1, it gives you minus 4. And you divide by minus 4, which you can write as minus 1 over 4 times x to the minus 4 plus c. That's the answer for that one. Find f of x for the following. It's like finding y for the following. F dash of x is the same as dy over dx. And you want to find y or f of x. 3x to the half, to the power half. Integrate, you add 1 to the power. Half plus 1, it gives you 1.5, which is 3 over 2. And you divide by 3 over 2. And you have the 3 there. So it's 3 times x to the 3 over 2 times divided by 3 over 2. And plus the constant of integration. And when you simplify this with your calculator, you will get 2. 3 times 1 over 3 over 2 is the same as 3 times 2 over 3, and the 3 will cancel. And you're left with 2x to the 3 over 2 plus c. F dash of x is equals to 3. To find y, we have to integrate. When you have just 3, you imagine there's x to the power 0 next to it. X to the power 0 is the same as 1. So this is the same as 3 times 1, which is 3. So when there's x to the power 0, you add 1 to the power. 0 plus 1 is 1, and you divide by 1. So you have 3 times x to the 1 over 1 plus c. You add the constant integration. So the best way to remember it is whenever you're integrating a number like 3, just write 3x. If it's 4, just write 4x. That's the way to remember it. Given that dy over dx is equal to 6x plus 2x to the minus 3 minus 3x to the power half, find y. So we need to find the integral. So when we integrate, we add 1 to the power and divide by the new power. So this is 6x to the power 1. So we add 1 to it, it becomes 6x squared, and divide by the 2. And this is minus 3. Add 1, minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. And then you divide by minus 2. And then x to the power half, add 1 to half. It becomes 1.5 or 3 over 2. And you divide by 3 over 2. And then you add the constant of integration. And the next step is to simplify or cancel. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by minus 2 is minus 1. We don't write the minus 1, we just write minus. And 3 divided by 2 over 3 over 2 is 2, and plus c. That's your answer for that one. Now it's your turn. Try the following questions. Question 1, 2, and 3. Do all of it and see how it goes. Indefinite integral. This symbol, an elongated S, it means integrate. The elongated S symbol means integrate. So you're integrating x to the power n. The expression to be integrated is written in between that elongated S and this dx. And what does that dx mean? The dx tells you to integrate with respect to x. So you could have integral of r to the n dr. This is with respect to r. So we have with respect to x. And when you integrate, you add 1 to the power n plus 1 and divide by the new power. And when you integrate two terms, f of x is one term, g of x is another term, what you do, you integrate them separately. Integrate f of x with respect to x and write the answer. And then plus you integrate g of x with respect to x and write the answer. So you separate them and integrate them. Integral of x to the half plus 2x cubed, part A. This elongated s means integrate. So we integrate x to the half plus, after that we integrate 2x cubed. When we integrate x to the half, add 1 to the power, half plus 1 is 3 over 2, and you divide by 3 over 2. To integrate 2x cubed, add 1 to the power, 3 plus 1 is 4, and you divide by 4. And then after you simplify, 1 over 3 over 2, flip it around, is 2 over 3. 2 divided by 4 is 1 over 2. And don't forget to add the constant of integration. Part B, integral of x to the minus 3 over 2. Add 1 to the power, minus 3 over 2 plus 1. It gives you minus a half, and you divide by minus a half. When you integrate 2, a constant, imagine this 2x to the 0. Add 1 and divide it by 1. So it just becomes 2x. And then you add the constant of integration. And then you simplify. 1 divided by minus a half, it gives you minus 2. So we get minus 2x to the minus a half plus 2x plus c. When you integrate p squared, x to the minus 2 plus q, you add 1 to the minus 2, it becomes minus 1, and you divide by minus 1. So it becomes p squared stays the same, x to the minus 1 divided by minus 1. When you integrate q, q is just a constant, you just add an x to it. So you get qx plus constant of integration, c. And the last one, integrating with respect to t. 4t squared, add 1 to that, 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's 4t cubed, and then you divide by 3. And when you integrate 6, it's just a number, a constant, you add t to it, plus c, the constant of integration. To integrate this function, the x cubed is in the denominator, we have to take it to the numerator. When you take it to the numerator, it becomes x to the minus 3. And we have x here is square root. To get rid of the square root, we write it as x to the power half. So this comes to the top, it becomes, the 2 stays the same. The x cubed becomes x to the minus 3. The 3 stays the same. The x, square root of x becomes x to the half. Now you can integrate. Add 1 to the power, minus 3 plus 1 gives you minus 2, and you divide by the minus 2. Half plus 1, it gives you 3 over 2, and you divide by 3 over 2. Plus the constant of integration. Now you simplify. 2 divided by minus 2 is minus 1. Minus 1. We don't write the 1. And then there's x to the minus 2. Minus 3 divided by 3 over 2, it gives you minus 2. And then x to the 3 over 2 plus c. You can write this as minus 1 over x squared. Reusing this formula, x to the minus n is 1 over x to the n. So x to the minus 2 is 1 over x squared. So that's just 1 over x squared. And then x to the 3 over 2, you can write it as square root of x cubed. So x to the 3 over 2 is the same as x to the half all cubed. And x to the half is square root of x, square root of x cubed. So you find x cubed and then square root of it plus c. Now it is your turn to try the following. You do this question. Try the following questions.